Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. Chapter 1: The Worst Birthday. As the summer holidays dragged on, Harry Potter found himself longing for his magical school, Hogwarts. His 12th birthday was approaching, but the Dursleys, as usual, showed no signs of remembering. On the morning of July 31st, Harry woke to find that his birthday had indeed been forgotten. To make matters worse, Uncle Vernon was hosting an important business dinner that evening. Harry was instructed to remain in his room, making no noise and pretending he doesn't exist. Resigned to his fate, Harry lay on his bed, staring at the ceiling. Suddenly, two enormous green eyes appeared at the window. Harry leapt up, only to see a house elf standing on his bed. The creature introduced himself as Dobby and proceeded to warn Harry not to return to Hogwarts, insisting that terrible things were going to happen at the school. When Harry refused to promise he wouldn't go back, Dobby created chaos downstairs, dropping Aunt Petunia's pudding on the kitchen floor. The incident resulted in Harry receiving an official warning from the Ministry of Magic for underage use of magic. Although he hadn't cast any spells himself, Uncle Vernon, furious about the ruined dinner party, fitted bars to Harry's window and installed a cat flap in the bedroom door to pass through small amounts of food. Harry found himself trapped, cut off from the magical world, and wondering if he'd ever return to Hogwarts. Chapter 2: Dobby's Warning. In the days that followed, Harry mulled over Dobby's cryptic warning. What danger could be lurking at Hogwarts? Despite the ominous message, Harry couldn't bear the thought of not returning to the only place he felt truly at home. Adding to his misery, Harry realized he hadn't received a single letter from his friends, Ron and Hermione, all summer. He began to worry that they had forgotten about him or, worse, decided they no longer wanted to be his friends. One night, unable to sleep, Harry heard a strange noise outside his window. To his amazement, he saw a flying car hovering outside, with Ron Weasley grinning at him from the back seat. Ron's twin brothers, Fred and George, were at the wheel. They had come to rescue Harry from his prison-like room. Using a rope, they pulled the bars off Harry's window. Harry quickly packed his trunk, grabbed Hedwig's cage, and climbed into the car, narrowly escaping as Uncle Vernon burst into the room. As they flew through the night sky towards the Weasleys' home, Harry felt a surge of happiness. He was free, and he was going back to the world where he belonged. Chapter 3: The Burrow. The flying car landed at the Weasleys' home, known as the Burrow. It was unlike any house Harry had ever seen. Several stories high and so crooked, it looked as if it was held up by magic, which Harry reminded himself it probably was. Mrs. Weasley came marching across the yard, looking furious at her sons for taking the car, but her anger melted when she saw Harry, and she welcomed him warmly into their home. Harry met Ron's younger sister, Ginny, who seemed very shy around him, and Mr. Weasley, who was fascinated by Muggle artifacts. Life at the Burrow was a joyous whirlwind for Harry. He helped degnum the garden, watched the Weasley brothers play Quidditch in the apple orchard, and enjoyed Miss Weasley's delicious cooking. For the first time in his life, Harry experienced what it was like to be part of a real family. One morning, letters arrived from Hogwarts, with their book lists for the coming year. Harry noticed that many of the required books were by Gilderoy Lockhart, a famous wizard known for his adventures and his dazzling smile. Chapter 4: At Flourish and Blots. The Weasleys planned a trip to Diagon Alley to buy school supplies. They decided to travel by Floo powder, a magical substance used to travel through fireplaces. Harry, who had never used Floo powder before, was nervous. His fears were justified when he accidentally ended up in Nocturne Alley, a street devoted to the dark arts, in a dingy shop called Borgin and Burke's. Harry overheard Draco Malfoy and his father, Lucius, selling some suspicious items. Before he could hear more, Harry was discovered and had to make a quick escape. Fortunately, he ran into Hagrid, who led him back to Diagon Alley, where he reunited with the Weasleys and Hermione. Their trip to Flourish and Blotts, the bookshop, turned eventful when they discovered Gilderoy Lockhart was there signing books. Lockhart spotted Harry and pulled him to the front for a photo opportunity, announcing that he would be the new defense against the dark arts teacher at Hogwarts. As they were leaving the shop, they encountered Lucius Malfoy and Draco. Mr. Weasley and Mr. Malfoy got into a fight, knocking over a bookshelf. In the chaos, no one noticed Mr. Malfoy slipping a thin book into Ginny's cauldron. Chapter 5: The Whomping Willow. On September 1st, the day came to return to Hogwarts. In the rush to get to King's Cross Station, Harry and Ron found themselves stuck behind the magical barrier to platform 9 3/4. With the train about to leave and no way to get through, they made the rash decision to fly Weasley's enchanted car to Hogwarts. The journey started well, with the car soaring high above the clouds. But as night fell, the car began to lose power. They crash-landed in the grounds of Hogwarts, right into a bad-tempered tree, known as the Whomping Willow. The tree fought back, nearly destroying the car and injuring Ron's wand. As they stumbled into the castle, hoping to slip in unnoticed, they were caught by the caretaker, Argus Filch, and brought to Professor Snape. Snape was gleeful at the opportunity to punish Harry, but Professor McGonagall, head of Gryffindor House, took charge. Though they avoided expulsion, both boys received detention. The next morning, Ron received a howler, a magical screaming letter from his mother, berating him for stealing the car. The entire Great Hall heard Mrs. Weasley's magnified voice expressing her fury and disappointment. Chapter 6: Gilderoy Lockhart. Classes began, and the students were introduced to their new defense against the dark arts teacher, Gilderoy Lockhart. Lockhart was vain and self-absorbed, more concerned with his fame and good looks than actually teaching. His first lesson was a disaster, as he released a cage full of mischievous Cornish pixies into the classroom and failed to control them. Meanwhile, a young Gryffindor named Colin Creevey developed a habit of following Harry around, constantly asking for signed photos. This annoyed Harry and amused Draco Malfoy, who taunted Harry about his fame. During a Quidditch practice, the Gryffindor team discovered that Slytherin had a new seeker, Draco Malfoy. What's more, Lucius Malfoy had bought the entire team new Topophaline broomsticks. This led to a confrontation between the teams, during which Ron tried to curse Malfoy for insulting Hermione. However, Ron's broken wand backfired, causing him to belch slugs for several hours. Chapter 7: Mudbloods and Murmurs. As the term progressed, Harry began to hear an eerie voice that no one else seemed to be able to hear. The voice spoke of killing, and it seemed to be coming from inside the walls of the castle. During a detention with Lockhart, Harry heard the voice again. Concerned and confused, he confided in Ron and Hermione, but they were as puzzled as he was. Meanwhile, tensions were rising in the school due to caretaker Filch's cat, Mrs. Norris, being found petrified next to a chilling message written on the wall. THECHEMBERSSECRETSHASBENOPENED. THEHERBWARE. Rumors began to circulate about the Chamber of Secrets, a supposedly hidden chamber in Hogwarts created by Salazar Slytherin. Legend had it that the chamber contained a monster that only the heir of Slytherin could control, and that the heir would use the monster to purge the school of students who were not from all wizard families. In History of Magic class, Hermione persuaded Professor Binns to tell them about the chamber. They learned that Salazar Slytherin had fallen out with the other founders over his belief that magical learning should be restricted to all magic families. Before leaving the school, he supposedly built a hidden chamber that contained a monster that only his true heir would be able to control.